Okay, so the reptiles are the very first amniotes. That is where the amniotic egg first evolved. The reptiles now include the birds. They used to be in a separate class, class Aves, but now they have been reclassified as reptiles. So reptiles, modern day reptiles, would include lizards, snakes, turtles. That one sometimes gets people confused because a lot of turtles are aquatic, but they, even if they're aquatic, they have to return to land to lay their eggs because amniotic eggs cannot be laid in the water. They have crocodiles and alligators. And obviously we have the dinosaurs, right, which are extinct, but are just so amazing that they were once alive, and they would also have been reptilian, right? So we have the age of the dinosaurs, and then they went extinct. And then from them, we got the evolution of mammals. So we have a reptilian ancestor that gave rise to mammals. So characteristics, these are amniotic or amniotic. They have an amniotic egg. They're amniotes. That's what I meant to say. They have scales. This helps to prevent dehydration. Unlike the thin skin of a frog, for example. They also have lungs that are bigger. So they have lungs with a greater surface area. And that is important because a lot of amphibians actually use their skin to breathe. So lungs with more surface area because they cannot use their skin to breathe. We'll put that. Can't use skin to breathe. Okay. They also have internal fertilization. Unlike most of the amphibians that have external fertilization, which means that they generally have a penis that they insert into the female's reproductive tract, and the female produces the eggs, and then she lays the eggs in a nest. So let's look at some examples of these. Some lizard species, some species that have lost their legs, some turtles that are either like tortoises or terrestrial, but turtles, sometimes box turtles, or not box turtles, but there's turtles that live in ponds, right? There's also sea turtles. Sea turtles are amazing, but they do have that problem where they cannot lay their eggs in the water, so they have to return to land. And then when the turtles hatch out, they're oftentimes at great risk of predation. It's a big problem. And then alligators and crocodiles would also be part of this group. So birds are a special, interesting group of organisms. So let's look at some adaptations to flight. Obviously, we have wings. These are modification of the legs. A set of legs, the front legs, right? The arms. I really don't think of as a lizard. I mean, maybe a lizard has arms. I don't know. They have 4 legs, right? They're tetrapods. They have feathers. These are modification of scales. They tend to lack teeth, which is weird. But if they do need to crack open nuts and stuff, they tend to have a big bill. But one of the things that they have instead of teeth is they have a gizzard. And a gizzard is part of their digestive system. It grinds the food. Maybe that's an adaptation to flight because it reduces the weight of the head. So the head is not as heavy. They have a very light skeleton. Birds can easily break their bones. Their bones are more porous and lighter and not as rigid as ours. In males, it's really interesting, and in females, actually, the female has only one ovary. Maybe that makes her lighter, I don't know. Males have 2 testes, and most males lack a penis. They still have internal fertilization, but they don't have a penis. Maybe that's detrimental to flight, right? So maybe, you know, I'm not sure about this one. So maybe detrimental to flight. Okay, they do have that, but I'm not sure if it's an adaptation to flight. Okay, so there are some transitional fossils, very famous ones, between birds and reptiles, and this is one of those. Diagrams, it's not actually the fossil, but it is called Archaeopteryx. This is like Tiktaalik this is a transitional fossil. So Archaeopteryx has wings, it has feathers, it has teeth. We don't see that in modern day birds. It has claws on wings. That we don't see either. The other thing that it has, which is kind of interesting, is it has vertebrae that extend down into its tail. We don't see that in modern birds. The tails are just feathers. So even long-tailed birds, they don't have the vertebrae down into their tail feathers. So that would be characteristic of a reptile, not a modern day bird. This shows a chicken. They have this gizzard that helps to grind their food. You can see the modifications of the digestive system. This is a hawk. Oftentimes, it's very difficult to tell the sex of a bird. And the reason is because males do not have a penis. They have one opening, and it is called the cloaca in birds. And this is a common opening to the digestive, excretory, and reproductive systems. Cloaca technically means sewer, which is kind of sad, but anyway. So feces comes out here. It's usually colored with white because that's their uric acid. So digestive and excretory weight comes out, but also this is the opening to the reproductive system. So in order for sperm to be transferred and internal fertilization to take place, they have to touch their cloaca together. And so copulation in birds oftentimes involves what is called the cloacal kiss. So this is what those birds are doing up on the wires when one gets on top of another. In songbirds, it's really easy sometimes to tell the difference between males and females because they are colored differently. But in some birds, you can't tell the difference because they're not colored differently. There's no sexual dimorphism. So here would be 2 birds copulating. There is no penis, but they just touch the cloaca together and the sperm somehow swim across. And that is how internal fertilization takes place. Okay, next topic.